Okay, guys, it's Teacher Anya. Hello, Happy New Year. And I hope you had a very, very good Christmas break. Teacher Anya had very, very much fun at Christmas time. She went to Africa. She went all the way to Africa for 2 weeks and saw a lot of her friends and traveled around and saw a lot of really cool animals and lots of different people. So when she was in Africa, she used all of her senses. And what we're going to talk about today is our senses. So this is our word here, senses, okay? So the question is here, how do our senses help us learn, okay? So we have to first talk about what our senses are, okay? So we have 5 senses. So what do you think our senses are? What can you tell me? What are our senses? What do you think are our senses? Yeah, there's lots of different ones, right? So we can taste things, right? So we can taste things with our tongue, right? So many, many delicious things we can taste. Okay, what else can we do with our senses? We can hear things, right? We can hear things with our ears. Okay, so that's one of our senses. What else is one of our senses? So we can taste things with our tongue, and we can hear things with our ears. And what else can we do with our senses? Yeah, there's a really big one, right? We can see stuff, right? We can see with our eyes, okay? So we can look around and see lots of different things, okay? So there's 2 more. What else can we do? Yeah, we can smell. Very good. Okay, so we can smell with our nose, okay? So that's one of the things we can do. And the last thing we can do is we can touch, okay? We can touch. So we can feel if something is very hard or very soft, right? Or very sharp, right? Maybe it will hurt us. So we can touch things, okay? So these are what we call in English our 5 senses. Okay, our 5 senses. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what our senses do. Okay, are you ready to start? Should we erase all of our words? Yeah, let's erase them, okay? All right. Teacher Anya is very sick because she came back from Africa very, very ill. So, okay, let's get started. So let's read together. So remember our weekly concept. Let's get our spotlight. So our weekly concept. So remember, concept is like a really big idea that we're thinking about. So this week in our lesson, we're going to be thinking about how we use our senses to learn about where we are, okay, our environment, okay? So our weekly concept, our big idea for the week is use your senses, okay? So how do we use our senses, okay? So the essential question, the most important question that we're going to ask is, how can your senses help you learn, okay? So how do your senses help you learn? What do you think? What can they do for you? So let's take a look, okay? So remember we said there were 5 senses. So do you remember what the 5 senses are in English? Yeah, so we can see things, right? Good. What about we can hear things, right? Very good. We can taste things, right? Good. We can smell things. That's 4. What's the last one? Do you remember? Yeah, we can touch. We can touch things, okay? So these are our 5 senses. So let's look at our picture here. And let's talk about it, okay? So talk about it. How does the girl use her senses, okay? So we're looking at this girl. And what is she doing here? What sense is she using here? Yeah, she's using smell. Very good. And what is she smelling? Yeah, she's smelling a flower. Do you think it smells very, very beautiful or very, very yucky? It probably smells very, very beautiful, right? Flowers usually smell really good, okay? So she's using her sense of smell, okay? All right, so we're going to talk about our new words for this week, okay? So let's start with our first new word here, and our first new word is, okay, how do we say this word in English? Do you know how to say it? Okay, so we're going to write it a little bit how we say it, okay? So phonetically. So this word is explore, okay? Explore. Can you say it with me? Explore, okay? So again, we don't really say the E, right? We just say explore, explore. Okay, so to explore is to look at something closely. Okay, so when we explore, we look at something very closely, okay? And we use all of our senses, okay? We use all of our senses to explore where we are. So let's look at this little boy, okay? So he is at school. So what are some of the things that he might want to explore at his new school? Can you think of some? How would he use his senses, okay? So let's start with what he can see. What do you think he can see at his school, okay? What do you think he sees? Yeah, maybe he can see his classroom, okay? Or maybe he can see some books, right? Okay. What do you think he can hear? Yeah, maybe he can hear his teacher talking, right? So he can hear his teacher. What do you think he can touch? Yeah, maybe he can touch his books, right? When he turns the pages over, he can touch his books, okay? So that's one of the ways that he's exploring. Okay, what else do you think he can do with his senses? What can he taste? Yeah, maybe he can taste his lunch, right? He can taste his lunch when it's time for lunchtime, when it's time to eat, okay? What else can he do? What can he touch? Right? Okay, so he can see his classroom, he can hear his teacher, he can touch his books, okay? He can taste his lunch. What can he smell? Yeah, maybe he can smell what the classroom smells like, right? Because classrooms always smell a very certain way. So we know that we're at school because our classroom smells a very particular way, right? Okay, a very special way. So we know that we're in school. All right, let's erase some of our words here. So remember, to explore means to look at something very carefully and use all of your senses to try to understand it, okay? So this little boy is exploring his school. All right, let's go on. Oh, this is a really great word. Okay, so this word is, how do you think you say this word in English? Yeah, so this word is feast. Feast, okay? So let's say it together. Ready? Feast. Yeah, feast. Very good. What's a feast? What do you think a feast is? Okay, a feast is a very large meal, okay? So it's where we have a lot of food, okay? A lot of food is at a feast, okay? And usually a feast is a very special kind of meal that we have on a very special occasion, okay? So when we go to a wedding, we might have a feast, okay? Or if it's somebody's birthday party, we might have a feast, okay? So a feast is a very large meal. It has a lot of food, and it's usually for a special reason, okay? Like a wedding or a birthday. We will have a feast, okay? How do you think you would explore the feast with your senses? What can you think about in terms of exploring the feast with your senses? Yeah, we could definitely taste the food. Very good. So we can taste the food. What else can we do? Maybe we can smell the food, right? We can smell the food. And we can touch it, right? Sometimes we eat food with our hands. So we might touch the food, or we might touch our fork or our chopsticks, right, our kwanza, and like eat our food. Okay, how else can we use our senses at the feast? Yeah, maybe we hear people talking, right? Or we hear someone telling us to come eat, that it's time to eat, okay? So we can do a lot with our senses. We can explore a lot with our senses at a feast, okay? So feast is a very cool word, all right? So let's review. So we can explore, we can look at something very closely, right? And then we can have a feast, okay? And a feast is, again, what's a feast? Very good. It's a really big amount of food, okay? So these guys are having a feast. Look how much food they have. It's so much food, right? I think they're celebrating something very special. Okay, let's look at our next word here. How do you think you say this word? Yeah, very good. So this word is very easy to say. It has 2 syllables. Okay, so hold on one second. All right, so we say this word in 2 syllables, right? Finished, finished, finished. Okay, so let's say it together. Finished, finished. What does it mean to be finished? Yeah, it means you're all done, okay? So let's say you finish your schoolwork, right? Okay, you say, teacher, I'm finished, right? Or maybe you finish your dinner, right? Maybe you eat a big feast for dinner and you say, I'm finished. I can't eat anymore. Oh my gosh, I'm so full. Okay, so you might be finished with your food. How else could you be finished? How is this little boy finished? Yeah, he's finished with his drawing, right? So he's finished with his painting. So he's telling his teacher, I'm finished, okay? So to finish is, it's the end of something, okay? It's when we're all done. We are finished, okay? We're finished. Okay, very good job, okay? Awesome. All right, let's move on to our next word. So let's review our 3 words so far. Ready? So we're gonna, how do we say this word? Good job. Explore. Very good. Okay. And then we're going to eat a big feast. Good job. Okay. And then we're going to finish our feast. Okay. So we're going to say we're finished eating our feast. Okay. We're finished eating. All right. Cool. Let's go to the next word. Okay. So this is one of these funny words in English where it sounds like a different word, okay? So this word is, how do you think we say this word? How do you think we say this word? Do you think we say kneads? Nope. So oftentimes when you see in English, when you see a letter, when you see this combination of letters, so K and N, we almost never say the K, okay? So the way that we would say this word is actually needs, okay? Needs. And needs has 2 meanings in English, okay? So to need something, right, is to have it, okay? I need my mom. I need my teacher to show me how to speak English, okay? I need my mom to take care of me. So to need someone is that when we need something, we have to have it. Okay, so to have, if we have to have it, we need it. Okay, so to need something, okay, when we need something, we work dough. Okay, so we might work dough for different things. What are some things you can think of that are made of dough? Noodles, very good. What else? Bread, very good. What else is made of dough that you can think of? Okay, so noodles, bread. What else? Maybe some kinds of cookies, right? Cookies are made of dough, okay? So we knead dough, and when we knead dough, we push it with our hands, right, over and over again until it's very, very soft and stretchy, okay? And this is how we make very, very delicious bread and cookies and noodles. Like sometimes you might watch them pull the noodles, right? When you go to your noodle shop, you see them pulling the noodles. That's a kind of kneading the dough, okay? So just remember, when we have KN in English, we don't say the K, okay? We just say the N, so needs. Okay, so K is a special letter, and we call this kind of letter in English a silent letter, okay? It's silent. It's shh. It doesn't talk, okay? It doesn't make any noise. So the K in needs is silent, okay? So to knead means to work with dough until it is very smooth, okay? Very good. Excellent job. Okay, let's review. Ready? Whoops, we went too far. Okay, what is this boy doing? What do we call this word? Yeah, he's exploring. Good job. Okay, excellent. The next word. What is this? A big dinner? Yeah, it's a feast. Very good. Okay, what's this boy doing? Is he starting or finishing? Yeah, he's finished. Very good. Okay, and what are we doing with this dough? We are kneading it. Okay, so needs, to knead. Okay, it's to work with dough. Okay, so knead. Okay, our next word is the most important word of this week, right? So our word is senses. Okay, can you say it with me? Senses. Try again. Senses. Very good. Awesome job. Okay, so we talked about the 5 senses. So do you remember what the 5 senses are? Can you help me write them? Yeah, very good. So touch. What else? Smell. Very good. What else? Okay, sight, right? Or to see. Okay, what else? Yeah, hear. Okay, and the last one is what? To taste, right? To taste, okay? So what senses is this boy using here? What is he doing? He's putting peanut butter on bread, okay? So what senses is he using? Is he using taste? Yeah, he's going to taste the peanut butter and the bread, okay? So that's going to taste very salty and maybe a little bit sweet, right? Okay, is he hearing anything? It sounds like, what do you think he would hear? Yeah, maybe he hears like the noise that the peanut butter makes when you put it on the bread. Okay, so he can hear that, right? What about smell? Can he smell the peanut butter? Yeah, and probably the bread too, because both of these things smell really delicious, okay? So maybe he smells the peanut butter and the bread, and it smells really yummy. What do you think he can see? Yeah, he can see the peanut butter and the bread, right? And maybe his friends who are next to him. Okay, and what is he touching? What's he touching here? Yeah, he's holding a knife. So he's touching a knife, and he's holding his plate. Okay, and he's got peanut butter all over himself. Look, he has peanut butter all over his mouth. Do you eat peanut butter like this? Or do you think your mom would get very mad at you? Probably get very mad at you if you ate peanut butter like this, right? Okay, let's go ahead and erase these things. Oops, I'm going to move my computer over a little bit. All right, so let's erase all of our different sense words. So again, our senses, there are 5 of them, and they help us understand our world around us, okay? So this little boy is using his 5 senses to really, really explore this peanut butter. He's going to smear it all over his face. Okay, awesome. Teacher Anya is very thirsty. Okay, let's go on to our next word. And our next word is really easy. So our next word is C. C, like the letter C. Okay, so C, 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 ka, ka, ka. No. C, 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 sa, sa, sa. Yeah, so our word is see. What does it mean when we see something? Yeah, it means we can look at it, right? So what do you think this cat is looking at? Is he looking at you? Yeah, the cat sees you, okay? So we're going to use this word a lot this week. So we're going to talk about what we can see, things we can see. Okay, so this cat can see very, very well. Okay, here's another word that's very, very important, okay? So our word is education, okay? And I'm going to type out how to say it in English. Okay, so this is how we say it. It's kind of funny, right? Education, cation, okay? So we might want to say this a little bit differently, right? Because we might not understand why we would say T-I-O-N. This is usually pronounced shun in English, okay? So education, shun. So it's kind of strange because you see the letter T, but we don't really say education, right? It sounds really weird. So we say it more like the letter S, okay? So education, okay? Can you try to say it with me? Education, very good. What does it mean to get an education? Yeah, it means to learn, okay? So we go to school to get an education. So to get an education means to learn, okay? How do you think we might use our senses when we're learning? How do you think we use our senses? What do you see in this picture? What do you see? Yeah, I see a teacher. Good. What else do you see? I see a bunch of students. What are they doing? What's the teacher touching? What's she touching? Yeah, she's touching a card, right? So she has a card in her hand and it has an animal on it. Okay? And she's speaking. She's asking a question. Okay? So are the students hearing her? Are they listening? Yeah, they're listening, okay? And what are they doing? What are they doing with on their table here? Are they coloring? Are they making a picture? Yeah, so they're making a picture and they're also listening and they're also raising their hand to answer her question. So they're doing a lot of different things here. And all of these things are helping them to learn. So they're helping them to have an education, okay? So an education is to learn, okay? All right, and it's very important for you to have a good education because that way you can do whatever you want to do in life and you will know how to think, okay? So sometimes we might hear, get an education because you need to get a good job. And that's very important. We do need a good job in our life, but we also need to learn how to think about things, okay? So the real reason we get an education is to learn to think about things very carefully, okay? And that makes us smart people. So we want to get a good education in life so that we can think about things really well, okay? And also to get a good job and to be smart and all of these things. These are all very important things, okay? All right. All right, so we're going to learn, okay? So when we learn, we gain knowledge, okay? Whoop, we left a circle, and now it's on his ear, okay? So let's get rid of our circle. All right, so when we learn, we get knowledge, okay? We get knowledge, we get understanding, okay? So we get knowledge. Okay, so when we learn, we get knowledge, okay? And knowledge is kind of like an understanding of how things work or why things are the way they are, okay? How do we learn? How are some of the different ways we learn? Yeah, we can learn by reading. Very good. So we learn by reading. How else? We learn by listening. Who do we listen to when we're learning? We listen to everyone, right? So maybe we learn from our friends. Maybe they teach us a new game. Or we learn from our teachers, right? So teacher Anya is teaching you new words. You are learning new words during this lesson, okay? Maybe we learn by reading a book, okay? Or listening to our teachers. Or watching a show on TV, right? That has some knowledge. Okay, so these are all the different ways that we learn, that we understand the world around us, okay? So it's important to learn. We learn sometimes by studying, but not always. Studying is not always the best way to learn something. Sometimes we need to do it, okay, or we need to try it for ourselves. If you read a book about playing piano, if you study a book about playing piano, will you know how to play piano? No, you have to practice, okay? So sometimes we learn by studying and sometimes we learn by actually doing stuff, okay? Good. All right, so before we read our poem, let's go back through all of our words, okay? So what's this word? Can you read it to me? Good, explore. Okay, what's this word? Yes, feast. Very good. Feast, a very big meal. What's this word? Good, finished. Okay, good, to end something. What's this word? Remember, we don't say the K. It's needs. Very good. Need is to work with dough. Okay, need. Very good. What's this? Good, senses. Very good. And how many senses do we have? Yeah, we have 5. Very good. Okay, what else? What is this cat doing? What can it see? Very good. Okay, and what's this word? Education. Very good. Education. Very awesome. Good job pronouncing that. Education. Okay, and our last word here is learn, right? To learn. Okay, so we have one little poem before we end. Okay, so what can we do here? Let's read the directions together. Okay, read a poem that tells, this should say tells, we need an S, okay? That tells what a sailor can see, okay? So we're going to talk about one sense in this poem. What's the sense that we're talking about? Yeah, sight, what we can see, okay? So one thing we need to pay attention to is how we spell the word see, okay? So to see, S-E-E, is to look, okay? Then we also have see, okay? So when we look, it's S-E-E. When it's the ocean, it's S-E-A, okay? So we say them the same way, see, okay? So see can mean to look, and it can also mean the ocean, okay? So let's read our poem together. So pay attention to that. Ready? Let's get our spotlight. Okay, the sailor went to sea, okay? So the sailor went to sea. He went out on a boat to the ocean. He went to sea. To see what he could see, what he could look at, okay? But all that he could see, was the bottom of the deep blue sea. Okay, so our sailor goes out to the ocean and he's looking around, and what does he see? Yeah, he only sees the bottom of the water, okay? So what's underneath the water at the very bottom of the ocean? That's all he can see. So he does not see any fish. He does not see any clouds. Maybe he does not see any other ocean-going things. So maybe no other ships or birds. What does he see? Yeah, he just sees the bottom of the deep blue sea. That's pretty boring, right? Do you think if you went out to the ocean, you would want to just see the bottom of the sea? No, it's boring. It's just sand. So I don't think that this poem is very interesting at all because it's not telling us what he saw. So I want you to think about what you might see with your senses, right? Your sense of sight, if you went to the ocean, okay? And I want you to write down all the things that you think you could see, okay? See in the ocean. So maybe you could see an octopus, or maybe you can see a whale, or other boats, or maybe other sailors. There's a lot that we can see in the ocean. So I want you to make a big list for your mom and dad of things that you can see at the bottom of the ocean, okay? And then you can tell them tonight, these are all the things I think I could see when I go to the ocean, okay? All right, you are all done for today. What a good job. We learned all of the new words that we'll need this week, and we talked about our 5 senses, which is what we're going to be talking about this whole week, how we use our senses to explore. And you did a fantastic job paying attention. So review our new vocabulary words, okay? Practice them. And then I want you to also write down all of the things that you can see in the ocean, okay? And I will see you next time, all right? And we'll learn more about our 5 senses and how we use them, okay? Bye-bye. Good job.